team, hands down, truly has been. Why Caitlin Clark has yet to start a basketball game is beyond me. I can't even lie, dog. I don't know. And to me, Carol Lawson, I want to hear today. I need an answer today to why Caitlin Clark ain't starting.
Look at that frustration. That's not casual commentary. That's a content creator who just watched 3 straight games and cannot make sense of what he's seeing. Nate Tibbetts won't give a reason why Caitlin Clark didn't start. Chelsea Gray has started all 3 games, and there's only 2 games left in this qualifying tournament. So what's actually happening here?
Yeah, I thought they did a really good job. You know, this is a group that hasn't been together very long. We've kind of mixed the matchups, mixed the rotations. We played our players a little bit longer stretches than what we had done in the first 2 games. And so I thought initially they got off to a good start. I probably played them a little bit too long of a stretch at some of them got a little bit tired. But yeah, I love the creativity. I love the shooting with that group. And then obviously with Angel down there rebounding the basketball, it gives our guards room to attack.
Here's what Tibbetts said after the game. Notice what he focuses on: creativity, shooting, Angel Reese rebounding. He talks about playing them in longer stretches than the first 2 games. He mentions getting tired, but watch what he doesn't mention. He never explains the starting lineup decision. He never addresses why Clark has come off the bench in all 3 games while Chelsea Gray gets the starting nod every single time. The numbers make this even more confusing. Caitlin Clark has combined for 25 points and 14 assists in Team USA's first 2 games against Senegal and Puerto Rico. Those aren't bench player numbers. That's elite production. She's been one of the most effective weapons on the entire roster.
Then for Chelsea, how do you think the experience of playing in Miami at Unrivaled helped you sharpen your game entering into this Team USA run?
I think it's been cool to play against some of the players that I'm now teammates with. So I kind of got familiar with people's game that I don't normally get a chance to really see a lot of the time. So I think that's a pretty good aspect of it. And it's physical with Unrivaled, and that's no different when you get into FIBA play. And we talk about this tournament; it's going to be physical. You're not going to get calls. That's just the nature of how we play, and we like it like that. So I think that's prepared us, and obviously being in shape and being in game shape to be able to go up and down. That's one thing, or that's a few things that prepared us for this run right now.
Now listen to Chelsea Gray's response. She talks about playing against unrivaled teammates, about physicality preparing them for FIBA play, about not getting calls. All valid points. But here's what's interesting. She's talking about preparation and physicality. She's not talking about why certain players start and others don't. She's not addressing the rotation strategy that has fans and analysts scratching their heads. And this matters because Chelsea Gray is the veteran presence, the established point guard. When she talks about the standard of wearing the USA uniform, about playing for something bigger than yourself, she's speaking from experience. She's been here before, but that experience doesn't automatically mean she should be getting all the starting minutes while a player putting up 25 and 14 comes off the bench.
And then also just wanted to ask, 2 more. One, you obviously shared the floor with Angel. Paige Beckers has talked about admiring you growing up, and then now she's your teammate. Wanted to ask, what has it been like watching each of their developments up close?
Yeah, I was yelling at them the other day. I was calling them peanut butter and jelly because they were in the wrong place. But it's really cool, man. A respect for the game, and they just constantly they're constantly getting better, whether it's defensively, offensively, IQ wise. You know when they're missing, and that's the compliment to any player. You want them on the floor. They impact the game in different ways, but they're impactful. Angel, their offensive rebound, you got to box her out every single time. You can't take a possession off. She's able to push the ball, and then Paige, her ability to read the defense really well with her shot, but also she's a good passer, and so they just do different things, but that they're constantly getting better, and I love seeing their growth.
Here's where it gets more complicated. Chelsea talks about Angel Reese and Paige Bookers with genuine respect. She calls them peanut butter and jelly. She talks about their constant improvement, their impact on both ends of the floor. She's clearly invested in developing the next generation. That's leadership. But this creates a contradiction. If Chelsea Gray understands the value of giving young players opportunities, if she sees their impact and growth, why isn't that same philosophy being applied to the starting lineup? Caitlin Clark is having the same kind of impact. She's showing the same constant improvement, yet the rotation stays locked. The tactical explanation doesn't hold up either. Mike, who analyzes these games in detail, pointed out that the offense looked much more enjoyable with Nate Tibbetts coaching. He expected Tibbetts to let Caitlin Clark push the tempo and not run old basketball. That suggests the issue isn't about Clark's fit with the system. The system actually works better when she's running it.
And then last question, speaking of impact, you talked about your legacy and you're emotional about it in a good way. As your career continues, you're sharing the floor with the next generation. How do you think about that legacy now?
Just sharing it, sharing knowledge, sharing experiences. Listen, everybody that wears this uniform is great in their own right. It's just sharing experiences, tidbits, different moments to make them better. It's all about impact. If I am able to impact and make them a percent better, then I've done my job. But also like enjoying the small moments and the moments that on the bus and the moments that we're competing and we're coming into the timeout. I think those are the moments that you miss later down the road. And so just telling them to embrace that now as you're younger, and then you look back on them like, okay, it's the building blocks for a legacy that you hope to create.
Now watch this part carefully. When Chelsea talks about legacy, about sharing knowledge and experiences, about making teammates a percent better, she gets emotional. This isn't rehearsed. This is genuine. She talks about the small moments, the bus rides, the timeouts. She tells younger players to embrace these moments because they become the building blocks of legacy. That's beautiful. That's exactly what veteran leadership should sound like. But here's the uncomfortable question. Is Caitlin Clark getting those same moments? Is she getting the opportunity to build those starting lineup experiences, to develop chemistry with the first unit, to establish herself in the flow of games from the opening tip? Because right now, the message being sent is confusing. You can dominate off the bench, you can put up elite numbers, you can be one of the best players on the floor, and you still won't crack the starting five.
Whenever you put this uniform on, you're playing for something bigger than yourself, and I just tell them to embrace that. With that comes great responsibility. You wear this with pride, but there's a standard when you wear this uniform. It's a winning standard. It's always been that way, and that's the mentality and the culture that people before me has built, and hopefully we sustain that. I tell them to have fun with it. It's exciting. You don't get this time back. You don't get the time back that you're playing with other people. So embracing that time and enjoying playing.
This is where the standard versus opportunity debate becomes critical. Chelsea Gray is absolutely right that wearing the USA uniform comes with great responsibility, that there's a winning standard that's always been there. The culture is winning, that's not negotiable. But winning standards should mean playing your best players in positions to succeed. The USA is already qualified for the World Cup. These games are about building chemistry, testing rotations, and preparing for when the stakes are highest. If Caitlin Clark is going to be a key piece in the World Cup, shouldn't she be getting starting experience now? Shouldn't the team be building that chemistry with her running the offense from the jump? The comment section reaction tells you everything. Fans are asking if they should hire Nate Tibbetts to coach the Fever. They're noticing that Clark had a wide open three and passed it to Kelsey Plum. They're watching every possession because they're trying to understand the logic.
USA basketball.
I'm going to ask the last question here, Chelsea. Every other team is competing for a ticket to the World Cup.
Yeah.
You guys already stamped yours, and you talked about before the tournament even started in the media mixed zone. You said, look, we're not trying to defend anything. We're just here to sharpen ourselves. As we get down to the last two days, it's going to be a dogfight for those tickets to the World Cup. How do you guys stay motivated yourselves?
We're trying to get better every single day. Listen, this is a new group. There's some new faces, and so we're trying to get our chemistry and build that. So when we come back together, we can kind of pick up where we left off. And so we're playing for something bigger than just this moment. We're trying to build habits. We're trying to build, obviously the culture is winning, but we're building habits to get there. It just doesn't happen in a day. There's a lot of building blocks that go with that. And so when your standard is winning every single time, you want to put your best foot forward.
Beautiful. Thank you, Coach. Thank you,
Thank
Chelsea.
you, guys.
Congrats on the win. That concludes the press conference here, and we'll be back for the final game press conference.
Here's what makes this particularly frustrating for people watching. When asked about staying motivated when you've already qualified, Chelsea gives the perfect answer. This is a new group with new faces trying to build chemistry so when they come back together, they can pick up where they left off. They're playing for something bigger than just this moment. They're building habits. That answer is exactly right, but it also exposes the contradiction. If you're building habits and chemistry for future tournaments, why would you not integrate your most dynamic young guard into the starting lineup? Why would you not give her the maximum number of minutes to develop that chemistry with the first unit? Caitlin Clark finished this game with 17 points and 11 assists. That's a double-double off the bench. In a game where the USA is trying to build habits and develop chemistry, she's producing at an elite level. Yet the rotation stays the same. Chelsea Gray starts, Clark comes off the bench, and nobody in an official capacity will explain why.
So overall today, Caitlin Clark did good, man. She played very good in the first half. 17 points, 12 assists, double-double for Caitlin. And why she has not been implemented into the starting lineup, I have no clue, man. We just got to wait and see, dog, I guess. Guys, get down in the comments section right now. Let me know y'all thoughts about this game. Keep them Bills on. I will be back with more content. Until next time, man, shake the haters off. I'm out.
So let's talk about what this actually means, because this isn't just about one player or one tournament. This is about how USA basketball approaches development, how they balance veteran presence with emerging talent, and whether their rotation decisions match their stated goals. The defense of the current rotation goes something like this. Chelsea Gray is the veteran point guard who understands FIBA basketball. She's won at this level before. She provides stability and leadership. Bringing Caitlin Clark off the bench gives the second unit a dynamic playmaker and allows her to play against less intense defensive pressure. That's a reasonable tactical argument, except it falls apart when you look at the actual production. Clark isn't just succeeding against second units. She's dominating, 25 points and 14 assists through 2 games, a 17-point, 11-assist performance in Game 3. Those numbers suggest she's ready for first unit competition. They suggest she might actually make the starting lineup better. The comparison to how other teams develop young talent is instructive here. When you have a player producing at an elite level, you typically want to maximize their impact. You want them playing with your best players, developing chemistry with the starters, learning to navigate the highest level of competition from the opening tip. That's how you build for the future while maintaining your winning standard in the present. But USA basketball is doing the opposite. They're restricting minutes for a player who's proving she belongs. They're limiting her opportunities to develop chemistry with the first unit, and they're doing it without providing a clear explanation that makes tactical sense. Think about what message this sends. It tells Caitlin Clark that no matter how well you play, no matter what numbers you put up, the rotation is predetermined. It tells fans that production doesn't necessarily translate to opportunity. And it creates questions about whether the coaching staff is actually evaluating performance or just defaulting to veteran preference. Now, to be fair to Chelsea Gray, none of this is her fault. She's doing exactly what she should be doing. She's playing well, providing leadership, and helping develop younger players. She's not making the rotation decisions. She's not the one refusing to explain the logic. She's just doing her job. The frustration isn't with Chelsea Gray. The frustration is with a coaching staff that won't be transparent about their decision-making process. Nate Tibbetts was asked directly why Caitlin Clark didn't start, and he didn't give a reason. That's not acceptable when you're representing USA basketball, and fans are trying to understand your roster management. Here's what makes this situation even more awkward. There are only 2 games left in this qualifying tournament. 2 games. If the plan was to rotate starters and give everyone a chance to start, time is running out. If Caitlin Clark doesn't start in one of these final 2 games, it becomes clear that the rotation talk was never real. Chelsea Gray was always going to start every game, and the coaching staff just didn't want to say it directly. The broader question is whether this approach actually serves USA basketball's long-term interests. Caitlin Clark is 22 years old. She's going to be a centerpiece of this program for the next decade if she stays healthy and committed. Shouldn't the priority be integrating her fully into the system, giving her every possible experience, and building the team around her talents for the future? Instead, the approach seems to be treating her as a luxury piece off the bench, a spark plug, a change of pace option. That might work for this qualifying tournament where the competition isn't elite. But what happens at the World Cup when the games get tight and you need your best players in rhythm from the start? What happens when you haven't built that starting lineup chemistry because you spent the entire qualifying tournament running a different rotation? The analytics community has noticed this too. People who break down the film, who track the numbers, who understand basketball strategy at a deep level are confused by these decisions. They're not saying Chelsea Gray shouldn't play. They're not saying veterans don't have value. They're saying the production gap is too large to ignore, and the explanation for the rotation doesn't match the stated goals. Mike's comment about the game being more enjoyable with Nate Tibbetts coaching is revealing. It suggests that when the offensive system opens up, when Caitlin Clark is allowed to push tempo and create, the team looks better, the ball moves, players get better shots, the offense flows. That's not a criticism of other coaches. It's an observation that Clark's skill set enables a certain style of play that's effective. So why wouldn't you want that style starting games? Why wouldn't you want to establish that tempo from the opening tip? The only answer that makes sense is if you don't trust it against elite competition. But if you don't trust it against elite competition, why is she on the roster at all? The reality is that USA Basketball is caught between two philosophies. One philosophy says you reward production, you play your best players, and you build for the future while winning in the present. The other philosophy says you defer to veterans, you value experience over current performance, and you make young players earn their opportunities even when they're already producing. Both philosophies have merit in certain contexts, but you have to pick one. You can't say you're building chemistry and habits for the future while also running a rotation that prioritizes veterans regardless of production. You can't say everyone will get opportunities to start while also starting the same player in every single game. What happens next matters. If Caitlin Clark starts one of the final 2 games, it suggests the coaching staff heard the criticism and adjusted. If she doesn't start either game, it confirms that the rotation was never actually up for debate. Chelsea Gray was always going to start every game, and the coaching staff just didn't want to be direct about it. For Caitlin Clark, this is a learning experience either way. She's handling it professionally, producing when given minutes, and not creating drama. That's exactly what you want from a young player in this situation. But it's also worth asking whether she should have to prove herself to this degree when she's already the most accomplished rookie in WNBA history and is putting up elite numbers for Team USA. The fan reaction tells you this matters beyond just basketball strategy. People are invested in Caitlin Clark's development. They want to see her succeed at the international level. They want USA Basketball to maximize her talents. And when they see rotation decisions that don't seem to match the stated goals or the actual production, they get frustrated. So here's the question for you. Is USA Basketball making the right call by starting Chelsea Gray in every game, or should Caitlin Clark's production earn her a starting spot? You can't say both are right. The coaching staff made a choice. Do you agree with it? Drop your take in the comments. Hit that subscribe button for more WNBA analysis, and let's see if anything changes in these final 2 games, because right now the rotation doesn't match the rhetoric, and nobody seems willing to explain why.